يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Respected brothers and sisters, we are now here for class number 4 of acceleration to the first teaching of the Qur'an. And to recap just a little bit, what we saw at the beginning of this surah after Al-Iman, we saw 3 models of belief. The first is the person of taqwa, that's ayah 65. The second is the kafir, that's ayah 67. The third is the munafiq, that's ayah 18. First we have the person of taqwa. The second is the kafir, and the third is the munafiq. And the key points I keep repeating about the translation of the word taqwa, that we often translate the word taqwa as fear of God. That's not actually the core. The core of taqwa is to take Allah as a shield. You're shielding yourself from Allah. And also a correction in terms of the word kafir. The word kafir, so in Arabic it says inna ladina kafaru. Ayah 6. The word here, a kafir is someone who internally feels compelled to turn to Allah, and they suppress that compulsion. No one is making them turn to Allah, they feel a compulsion on their own, and they suppress it. That is the kafir. What am I saying here? The kafir is not the same as kafir. And someone might be a non-Muslim, but it's not the kafir. It might be what we call ignorance. Kafir. And then the third group, ayah 8 through 16, these are the munafiq. And the munafiqs essentially are believers on the outside, but on the inside. The believers on the outside represent themselves as believers. We saw a number of attributes. And what else can we say? That the people of taqwa, in their core, they have trust of Allah. And they do everything in direction and service of Allah.
Acts like fire. That if I have anger in me, how does anger feed itself? By consuming more and more and more. By spreading more and more. Like we have the saying, fight fire with fire. No, you fight fire with water. Right? And the nature of fear is like the nature of lightning. It goes this way, it goes that way, it goes this way. You fear all kinds of irrational things. So one person out of fear of death might fear spiders. Another person out of fear of death might fear just noise or thunder. But deeper than that, you should make your fear rational. It should make sense. It should be logical. You should fear only what can hurt you. And a higher level is if you are going to have fear in the first place, then fear Allah. Because Allah is the one who controls the whole world. And then the third analogy is that this person is standing in the lightning, standing in the thunderstorm, and when the lightning flashes, it blinds them because it's so bright. And they see their step is safe, so they take a step. But then it's dark again, so they're afraid to move. And then there's lightning again, then they take a step. And what is the lesson here? This is focused more on trust. First, they're trusting something that can kill them. This is the lightning. They're trusting something that can't help them in this aspect. And then they only take a step forward when they are confident that the step is safe. So we have our relationship with belief. You don't want to have this allergic repulsion to belief. What do you want? When belief comes, you want to embrace it, you want to accept it. You want to be thirsty for it. Second, relate to fear, that if you have fear, it should only be fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a level to get to. It's not something easy to automatically have. And the third is to have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling me to take a step, even though I can't see the step, I should trust that I'll be safe. Again, this is a level to get to. But all of this is a setup for what we have now, which is the beginning of the next ruku' of Al-Baqarah. Looking at ayah 21 and 22. These are the first commands of the Qur'an. So think about what I'm saying. These are the first commands of the Qur'an. Often when we speak of the first commands, we speak of what the Prophet, peace be upon him, was given first, which was IQRA. But in terms of the way the Qur'an is laid out for us, meaning the Prophet, peace be upon him, put these ayahs here, those ayahs there, these are now the first commands. Up to this point, we haven't had a single command. There has not been a single ayah yet where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do this. Al-Fatiha, there's no ayah that says, do this. It doesn't say, praise Allah. It says praise is due to Allah, but it didn't say praise Him. Likewise, in the attributes of taqwa, it talked about giving, it talked about salah, it talked about belief, but it didn't say this is what you're supposed to do. It said these are the people of taqwa, this is what they are like. Likewise, in the ayahs on the kafirs, it says if you warn them or do not warn them, it's all the same for them. But Allah didn't say you have to warn them. Okay? It just says that if you do, it's all the same. Okay? And likewise, the attributes of the people of nifaq, the hypocrites, we have all their attributes. They lie, they're two-faced, they're arrogant, so on and so on. But it didn't say don't do those things. This is the first time where now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do this. Okay? So, Brother Conyers is your official reader. Why don't you read for us ayah 21 and 22?
Okay. People worship your Lord who created you and those before you, so that you may be mindful of Him, who spread out the earth for you and built the sky, who sent water down from it, and with that water produced things for your sustenance. Do not knowing this, set up rivals to God.
Okay, very good. Jazakumullah. Okay, so now let's look at these piece by piece. Ayah 21. As-salamu alaykum. So ayah 21 is the first command, the first instruction. And to give you a point of how serious this is, we had a discussion early on in the course that only a small percentage of the ayahs of the Qur'an are of a fiqhi nature, are of an instruction nature. Maybe 5%, the highest is probably 8%. That most people say about 250 to 350 ayahs have a legal nature to them, where they're saying do this or don't do this. Okay? Which 250 ayahs, 350 ayahs is about 5 to 8%. 90%, almost 95% of the Quran is not instructions. Keep in mind how significant that is. The overwhelming majority of the Quran is not instructions. So think about this when we think of our deen. Often when we speak of the Quran, this is a guidance on how to live your life. Absolutely. But most of it is focused on how you perceive the world, how do you think. Okay? And this is where one of the fundamental problems in the community is, that we do not know anymore how to think. That most of how we think is coming from other sources, which are good. The Quranic method of thinking is what we're focused on in this class. So the first command is what? Be the abd of your Rabb. The first instruction, be the abd of your Rabb. Ya ayyuhan nas u'budu rabbakum. Now, anytime there's an instruction in the Quran, the first question is, who is the instruction for? Who is this instruction for? It says, Ya ayyuhan nas. So, all mankind. This is an instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to everyone.
The translation says people.
Yeah. It makes it nice and simple that way. People. Yeah. I mean, a part of the reason I'm guessing he translates it as people is that it's addressing the reader. Okay, if I don't read the Quran, then I don't know that this is a command. Right? So here it's more intimate. If I say, "Oh, all of mankind," I mean, all of mankind is not reading the Quran. I think that's why he's choosing people as a translation. It's important.
It sounds better.
Which does people?
Mankind.
All mankind sounds much more formal. And I think our
as
translation.
opposed to everybody.
Yeah, I think our translation is taking people because it's more intimate, more direct. So here, the command is for all mankind, which means by definition it applies to us here. And it's saying, be the abd of your Rabb. Be the abd of your Rabb. Now we defined Rabb before, we defined abd before. This idea of ibadah, which we commonly translate as worship, how more accurately do we translate this? This is the most extreme form of love, right? When you love your object of love, when you love your beloved, whether it's your child, your spouse, when you love there's just a conversation about loving your society. When you love your object of love, you value your beloved. You do things for your beloved. You hope to be in the company of your beloved. You long for your beloved when you're away. You hope that the beloved will return the love. You fear that the beloved will not. You value what the beloved values. That's love. Deeper than love is to adore. This is you're putting the beloved on a pedestal. Okay? This is, for example, the women in Surah Yusuf when they saw Yusuf alayhi salam. Okay? They put him on a pedestal to the point that they're losing their senses. He was so beautiful. Okay. Deeper than that is worship. Worship is when you surrender everything. So, we're saying, give your most extreme love to who? To your Rabb. Okay. Now we also define Rabb, that most translations define Rabb as Lord. But what was Rabb? Anybody remember the long translation? The exact translation? It is even more than creator. This is the one that takes you from immaturity to maturity according to your unique design. Takes you from immaturity to maturity according to your unique design. So the common simplified translations would be your nourisher, your sustainer, your cherisher. Yusuf Ali often translates this as cherisher and sustainer. He also does a guardian lord. But what is the idea here? The one who nurtures you. Of all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an, the one attribute where we also see it also applying to our parents is Rabb. Rabbayani Saghira. The ones who nurtured us. So how different does this change if instead of saying be the abd of your Rabb, how does it change if it says be the abd of Al-Jabbar?
Oh, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
I don't doubt.
Yeah, it's more frightening, right? Jabbar, the one who subdues.
But that means something that's very overwhelming kind of, that you cannot run away from the laws of the universe. The law will catch you. Things will catch. It doesn't mean a direct relationship where he would affect such heavy punishment. I mean, the laws usually they have to respond.
So yeah, if it's Jabbar, it's much more frightening. And notice, what if it? How different is it if it says be the abd of the Rabb? Because that's not what it says. It doesn't say be the abd of the Rabb. What does it say?
Of your.
Be the abd of your Rabb. If it said be the abd of the Rabb versus your Rabb is making it close to you.
Very personal.
Yeah. So not only is it saying to have this complete surrender, this complete loving surrender to Allah. How is Allah being described here? As Rabb, the one who nurtures. But how is he being described? Your nurturer. Be the one who gives the most extreme love to the one who is nurturing you. Okay. It's a very tender relationship. Very different than a force relationship. Allah could have chosen those words, but here it's a very tender, tender language. So this is the point that I keep making ever since the first class. What do you think of when you think of Allah? We all say we think of mercy, but in practice, do you see your day, do you see your life as mercy? So now we have an exercise to do. Okay. I want you to either take some notes on paper or at least in your imagination. What comes to mind when you think of the word earth, or when you think of earth? Just the first things that come to mind.
Kind of
What comes to mind? Sorry? What did you say?
Kind of a globe.
Okay, so you think of the globe, what do you think of?
Mother.
Okay, you think of the earth as beautiful, mashallah. Okay. What do you think of when you think of the earth?
The earth has a whole lot. The earth has a lot of things.
Okay, so it's huge, it's full of so many things.
We live on it, all animals.
Okay.
Planet.
Okay, so this whole huge complex thing. What do you think of?
Vast.
Vast? Okay. Okay. So now let's change this. Oh, very nice. So you think of the earth like Mother Earth. Very interesting.
From birth to death, you will go, and that's what, it will be hopefully comfy.
Yeah, hopefully comfy, inshallah. For all of us. Okay.
And it will happen,
So, what comes to mind when you think of the earth as a resting place? What comes to mind? Brother Conyers. Just this line on its own. What does that mean to you?
Is this a place where you go to find peace? Or?
Okay. This is an interesting point. One of the words in Arabic for home is askan, or your neighborhood is askan. What does that mean literally? Place of silence, place of tranquility. And this is one of the big issues of noise pollution in our society today, because that place of tranquility is often gone. You come home, turn on the television, turn on the internet, turn on your media devices. Okay. How much silence do we have in our homes? What else? What else do you think of? What do you think of when you think of the earth as a resting place? Okay, so a shadow under a tree. Very nice. So one of the themes in our language is in the shade of such and such, in the shade of the throne of Allah, in the shade of the Qur'an, so forth and so on. Yeah, these are very good depictions. Okay, how does it change if we say He made the earth a resting place? What comes to mind?
About great mercy.
Okay, so this is mercy in manifesting, right? He has not only is the earth what we think of the earth as a resting place, but He made it. Okay. What if we say for you? Now, how does it change? What comes to mind?
Special favor.
Yeah, it's a special favor. Yes, sir. So this should hopefully make us thankful, right? Think back to when we discussed Al-Fatiha, that you can sum up the entire deen in one simple concept. Increasing gratitude, decreasing anger. Increasing gratitude, alhamdulillah. Decreasing anger. We're saying guide us on the path of those whom you have favored, not of those on whom it is anger. That anger and gratitude, it is hard for them to both be in the same heart. One will try to win. Gratitude is like water, anger is like fire. Either the fire is going to make all the water evaporate, right, or the water is going to put out the fire. So He made the earth a resting place for you. Okay, now let's add another one. When you think of sky, what comes to mind? Just what are the first ideas that come to mind? I want you to think of sky. What do you think of? Anyway, Hamza, what do you think of when you think of sky?
Something watching over me.
Okay, so the sky is above us. Are you sure? What's Brother Rashid? When you think of sky, what comes to mind?
Flying.
Okay, you think of flying. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Karman, when you think of sky, what do you think of?
Blue.
Blue? Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Blanket.
A blanket. Okay.
Canopy.
So the sky is a canopy. The word sama, which we often translate as the sky or the heavens, actually what it means is something that is above and you're looking at the side underneath. Almost like a ceiling. So you have a roof. So when we say, the seven skies, we're looking up at the sky, and sama is referring to the side that we can see. The side that's underneath. That's literally what we're speaking about. So, someone said,
seven.
sorry?
Seven skies, you said.
Are you asking a question? I don't understand.
No.
You mentioned something seven.
Yeah, sure.
The Quran says, "Sab'a samawat wa mislahunna wa mislahunna fil ard."
Okay.
There are seven earths and seven.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So earth is not our own.
Well, that's best what it means. Yeah, sure. Okay, when we think of the sky as a canopy, or the sky as a roof, or the sky as a ceiling, what comes to mind? What do you think?
Maybe something that we don't know.
Okay.
It's above.
Okay, so who knows what is above it? Very nice point. This is very consistent with what we were saying about Alif Lam Mim, right? And taqwa. Alif Lam Mim, there's knowledge that I have, knowledge that I don't have. Belief in the unseen. There are things that I can see, but then there's knowledge. There's a world that I can't see.
So like the purpose of a roof is to protect you from the elements. So like maybe a canopy is protecting you from some type of force that can harm you.
Yeah, sure. It's protecting us. I mean, that's what we think of as the atmosphere. Remember, in the 80s, there was concern about the atmosphere. The ozone layer is going away because the concern was, okay, it's protecting us. Okay. So now let's say, He made the earth a resting place. the sky a canopy. Now, putting both of these together, what thoughts come to mind? What is the sense that you have? What is the feeling or the sentiment? So first we're looking at earth and the earth as a resting place, and he made the earth as a resting place. He made the earth as a resting place for you, and the sky as a canopy. So now what image, how does it feel?
As if somebody built a house for you.
Yeah, yeah, you have what's above, we have something that's below, right? What is the exercise we're doing? We're thinking with the Qur'an. Okay. The Qur'an is saying, okay, be the abd of your Rabb, and now it's saying, think about nature. Think about nature, and look at nature this way. Look at the earth as, well, first think about the earth. Think about the earth as this resting place spread out for you. And then think of the sky. Look at the sky. And think of the sky as the ceiling, as a roof. And think of both of them. The earth beneath you, the sky above you. So what are we doing? We're thinking with the Qur'an. Because that was the key point that I made here. That much of the Qur'an does not say do this, do this, do this. But it does say, essentially, think about this. Think about this. Raise your hand.
Oh, no.
Sorry, stretching. Okay.
But even in the last judgment of Ashraf al Ardi,
Okay.
even on the doomsday, the earth will shine on the glory of God.
Sure.
So this is probably the end place for everything. I don't know if there's this earth exists, maybe there are other galaxies in heaven and all those places. If one exists, then it could be other places.
Our definition of earth might change.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, let's continue. What do you think of water?
Graceful.
Sorry?
Graceful.
Water is graceful, right? Isn't water very beautiful when it's going down a waterfall? Absolutely. Okay. Water from the sky. What comes to mind?
Rain.
Rain? Absolutely.
Quenches thirst.
Okay, quenches thirst, right? When you start hearing about water, naturally your mouth might begin to water, right? Even if you're not that thirsty, this is something that naturally happens, right? I'm getting thirsty talking about water. Okay.
People who are in the flood zone.
Yeah, for them, they probably are not thinking about water the same way, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's the plants and how you need that.
Sure, that part will be speaking about a little bit later. Yeah. So what if we say he sends water from the sky? What comes to mind?
Favor.
So there it's for your comfort, it's a favor. Yeah. Yeah, it's more mercy, right? Some people even, one of the nicknames they give to rain is mercy. Right? Sorry?
Mercy like rain.
Yeah, mercy like rain, absolutely. Okay. What do you think of fruits?
Oh, yummy.
Yummy. Okay, what are your favorite fruits? Some people name your favorite fruits. What's your favorite fruit? Mango, okay. Okay, we already know where most of the class is from. Mangoes, yeah. And I have enough desiness still in me where I can tell a good mango from a bad, I can tell a good mango from a really bad mango. I got a mango from Walgreens. I thought, what is this? This is not a mango. It's like plastic, right? Yeah. What other fruits do you like? What fruit do you like? Mango? Apple. Okay, so. Oranges. Okay, what do we think? Think about these fruits. Think and just think about them. And naturally, especially when we think about fruits, if you like fruits, then you're going to think about how much you like them. They're sweet, they're juicy. Right? If you don't like fruits, then that's a problem.
Cool.
They're cool often, Absolutely. Fruits for your sustenance. Yeah. So again, we're thinking of fruits now not only as the fruits on their own, but what is a central function of fruits? Sustenance. Okay. Straightforward. So now think of the whole ayah. Okay. He spread the earth wide for you and made the sky a canopy for you and sends down water from the sky, and from that brings forth fruit as your sustenance. So what feeling, what image comes to mind now? Spread out the earth for you, The sky above brings down water from the sky and brings forth fruits as your sustenance.
He's our guardian.
Sorry?
Our guardian.
So Allah is our guardian, and He's giving us everything.
Magnanimous.
Sorry?
Magnanimous.
Explain.
Magnanimity.
Oh, magnanimity. Okay, yeah, so generosity. Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah.
We're getting everything without doing anything. There's a hadith in our tradition attributed to Isa alayhi salam, where Isa alayhi salam says, look at these people, they work so hard for the world, for the dunya, but it's already provided for them. But they don't work for the akhirah, and they have to earn the akhirah. Right. What is another analogy here? Womb. We move from one womb, the womb of our mother. It's the same thing, right? You're in this enclosed place, everything is provided for you, and then you enter the womb of this world. It's this covered protection. Beneath you is protection, rain and sustenance are being provided for you. That every step of the way, you're in this enclosed environment where Allah is taking care of you. So now think of this in perspective of the very first command. Be the abd of your Rabb, the nurturer. Here's what the nurturer has done. He's given you this whole environment all around us. But then, if He did all these wonderful things for us, we have the second command now, at the end of ayah 22. Do not knowingly make rivals to Allah.
It means explanation.
We'll talk about that. Allah has done all of this for you, so don't intentionally make any rivals. This idea of rivals, andad, is something that you're putting against Allah, literally a rival. First and foremost, does it make sense that these would be the first two commands? The first command is be the abd of your Rabb. The second command is don't turn to anything else. Does it make sense? This is the whole foundation of our deen, Tawheed. This is the two sides of Tawheed. One, turn to Allah. Two, turn away from everything else. So it makes sense that this would even be the first two commands. How does it change if we remove knowingly? Do not make rivals to Allah. Because in the Arabic it says, وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, and you know, or while you know. How does it change?
The ignorance factor comes in.
Yeah. I might be making rivals to Allah and I don't realize it. Yeah. Here, what is the focus? Where you know you're doing something.
Yes. But this is really addressed to us who have got the Qur'an.
Yeah.
It is the start of the accountability also process.
This is where accountability now begins.
Yes.
Yeah. So now let's actually make sense of what does the command mean. We said that to be the abd of your Rabb, it means you give the most extreme love. From this point forward, look at it as though this is a command that I am accountable for on the day of judgment. All of us who are sitting here, starting from this point forward, ayah 21 and 22, I am accountable. Okay? But what is it telling me to do? What is ayah 21 saying? Is it giving us So what does that mean? Like, so from this point forward, what should I start doing?
Have gratitude.
This is
appreciate.
So yeah, this is more raising an attitude. The attitude I'm trying to have from this point forward is, okay, if Allah tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. If Allah tells me from this point forward, start doing this, then from this point forward, even if it is difficult, I'm going to try my best to do it. Okay.
Even if you die.
Sorry?
Even if you have to die.
Even if I have to die, potentially. Okay. I mean, we're not going to find too many of those ayahs, right? But yeah, meaning I will give everything. Okay. But try to take a moment and have this idea that no matter what Allah tells me from this point forward, taking this page by page, I'm going to, when the guidance comes, just like the light of the prophets, peace be upon him, I'm going to embrace it. When fear comes, we said we might be afraid of what are people going to say, just like thunder. Alhamdulillah, I'm just going to keep doing it. And a matter of trust, if Allah is telling me to do something that seems scary, I will trust Allah that Allah will take care of it. Okay?
Knowing that you have a good judgment, and then you know that you are using your faculties.
Yeah, well, you'll be using your faculties definitely throughout the whole time. Your mind, your heart at full speed.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay. The second command, same thing. That consciously have this idea that from this point forward, I am to be held account on the day of judgment for this. Okay? And what is it saying? If there's any aspect of my life where I'm making something a rival to Allah, I'm going to try to remove it. But we haven't defined what that means yet. Okay? We haven't defined, okay, it doesn't say if you're doing this, it's a rival to Allah. If you're doing that, right now we're saying, okay, if I come across something that the Qur'an defines for me as taking a rival to Allah, then I'm going to try to stop that. Okay? In some cases, it's something I can stop just like that. In most cases, I have to take steps, step by step by step, to reach that point. And what am I saying? That our deen is not all or nothing. And I'll explain what I mean. Unfortunately, a problem in our Islamic culture, or that's not the right way to describe it, in the culture that we have in which we approach Islam in our society right now, is that it's almost an all or nothing. If you're not doing this and this and this and this and this, then you're not as good as that person who's doing this and this and this and this, right? If you're not dressed this way, if you're not speaking this way, if you're not fulfilling all these commands, then you might as well quit everything. That is not how our deen works. Okay? Our deen is steps. It's supposed to be stairs. Meaning we said that so much of our deen is defined as a path, right? The straight path. Sharia, the path that leads to relief. Tariqah, the path that removes obstacles out of the way. Madhab, the path that you walk. Sirah, the path that you walk. So forth and so on. Okay? And what does that mean? It means that there's a goal at the end. And I'm right here. Okay? But for me to reach my goal, it's not even going in a straight line like this. It's step by step by step. So what am I saying? Take time to evaluate yourself. Honestly, okay, this is the level I'm at in terms of salah. Okay? One person is someone who doesn't do any salah whatsoever. That's the level they're at. Be honest with the level you're at. Or this is a person who does all 5 prayers in Jamaat with sunnahs and everything. That's the level that person's at. Another person is shaking their prayers. Another person only goes to Jamaat. Another person only prays when other people are there, then it's easy to pray. Be honest about the level that you're at. Because if you're not honest about the level you're at, you don't know what the next step is going to be to take. Okay? So if I'm someone who does no prayers whatsoever, that's the level that I'm at. That's what I have to be honest with myself about. And then I have to figure out what is the next step I can take, okay, that I can do consistently. But here we don't even have any specifics. Here, what do we have? Have the attitude that I will try to fulfill whatever Allah tells me to do, but it's going to be a step by step by step by step process. Which means we have 20-some people in this room. We have people that are at 20 different levels. 20 completely different levels, and you have to be honest about where you are. And the more honest you are about where you are, the easier it is for you to figure out what the next step is. Okay? But there's an even deeper issue. What if I am someone who has doubt? Something we don't speak very much in our community. But then when the college students come to me, this is an issue that's very serious for them. How do I know if this is the truth? Why should I follow this? These people are good people, they follow that religion. These people are good people, they follow that religion. And then I look at these Muslims and they do all kinds of weird stuff. How do I know that this is the right way? This is what is now being answered in ayat 23 and 24. Okay, fire away.
Look, if you have doubts about the revelation we have sent down to our servant, then produce a single surah like it, and list whatever supporters you have other than God, if you truly think you can. If you cannot do this, and you never will, then beware of the fire prepared for the disbeliever, whose fuel is men and stones.
Okay, very good. if you have doubt. What's doubt? What do we mean by doubt? You're not sure. You know, you're shaky. You don't have confidence. If you're not sure about this book, because now we have commands. Up to this point, it didn't matter if you believed it or not. The Quran is saying there's these types of people, there's these types of people, there's these types of people. But now the Quran is saying do this and you have to do this. And it's saying it's for everybody. Okay? So if you're not sure, here's the step you need to go through. Now, keep in mind, when we often speak about ayah 23 and 24, we say this is a challenge to the whole world. To the whole world, bring a surah like this. Okay? Other ayahs are like that. In Surah Hud, there are ayahs exactly like that. If you don't believe this, you bring surahs that are just as good. Okay? That's not what's being discussed here. What's being discussed here is if you have doubts. If you have doubt, this is your prescription. Right? We said kitab.
So you have to fly through the doubt?
Sorry?
When every faithful person goes through doubts, you have to fly through these clouds, dark clouds.
Okay, what does that mean to fly through?
What I'm saying is that any man who doesn't have doubts is not faithful, really. You always
I don't think that's necessarily true.
It's always this and that. You have to
Sure,
fly through the dark clouds.
that's not the same as the doubt we're speaking about here. If you have doubt about this book, if you have doubt about what the book says, which means if you have doubt about Allah, if you have doubt about the Prophet being the Prophet, peace be upon him, if you have doubt that this is true, these are the steps to go through. This is the prescription, meaning this is your issue, this is your medication.
I mean, to live an honest life, to be good, to be merciful, to be kind to people, to be utterly honest, don't sell yourself for small money, and these are the things that get closer to God.
I say that's the base level, sure.
But the Prophet's life, that's gone forever. The only thing we are connected with them is through honesty, through goodness, through charity. These are the chains that we have.
Okay.
I mean, if I would talk to you about my grandfather, I haven't seen my grandfather, and my father would tell me this. I don't have any idea.
So that's
if he
what
had
we're
walked
saying.
down the street, I wouldn't have recognized
Sure,
him.
sure.
So,
Okay, I understand the second part. So you're saying you just trust that he was true and those stories are true about him.
no, يعرفونهم كما يعرفون أبنائهم.
Okay.
These people know all these things like they know their children. To be
Okay.
honest, to be good, to be
No, that's not what those ayahs are saying. Those ayahs are saying something completely different. That's saying the scholars of the previous books recognize Rasulullah as they recognize their own sons. That's very different. Okay. This is that whole conversation. This is around ayah 142. Very different conversation. Okay, what is it saying? If you have doubt, this is what you need to do. Number one, bring a surah like it. What is it telling you to do? It's saying if you have doubt about this book, then see if you can come up with anything else that's just as good. Okay. So what is it telling you? It's use your mind, use your sense, go read everything else. Read all of the scriptures, read all the philosophies, or write your own. Okay. Again, we often say this is a challenge. What I'm saying here is that the person needs to see with his or her own eyes or his or her own mind that nothing compares to the Quran. Because the people who come to me most who have doubt are usually people who've never read the Quran and they've never read the other scriptures. And I'm telling you, as someone who's read a bit of every single scripture of every single culture, right, nothing comes close to the Quran. But you have to see it with your own eyes, your own heart. There's truth in all these books, no doubt. Right? Otherwise they wouldn't survive. But you have to see with your own eyes how the Quran compares to everything else. Yeah, raise your hand. No stretching your hand. Yeah. I'll put it in perspective. Hold on 1 second. I'll put it in perspective. After 9/11, I was watching all these evangelical shows to see what are they saying. Okay. And then they had this Desi guy from South Africa. He came on, okay, and he says, okay, the Quran has this challenge. In 1400 years, we couldn't fulfill this challenge. Now we can fulfill this challenge. We have a book that's coming out that fulfills the challenge. And some of you have heard of this. He said this is called the True Qur'an. True Qur'an. He said we call this book the True Qur'an. This is answering the challenge of the Quran. Okay, that we are making something as good as the Quran. And finally, after a year, it finally came out. Okay? And then Google it, you'll find it. And its first chapter, it's called Fatiha. Okay? How does Fatiha begin? The real Fatiha? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, in the name of Allah, most merciful, eternally merciful. How does their Fatiha begin? In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, the most loving something something. Okay? then read it. Read it for yourself. Compare it head to head. Think of how many hundreds or thousands of times you've recited Al-Fatiha in your life. See if you can make it through one time without it feeling very clunky. Okay. Take it head to head. But there's a deeper problem here. Okay. These evangelicals who have been saying that, okay, we're the devil, the big war is against us. If they had any sense, how would they respond to this challenge? They'd say, okay, the Bible does it. The Bible is as good as the Qur'an. But no, they didn't do that. They wrote another surah, or another book, right? It doesn't make any sense. The point I'm making is that if you have doubt, you have to go through this process. If you don't go through this process, your doubt is not going to leave you. You have to go through this process. Use your mind at full capacity and read anything and everything. Read all the scriptures, read all the books, read the Bible, read the Upanishads. It's better if you do it with a teacher. And number 2, bring witnesses.
The thing that I come across is in the Bible it says, I created the heaven and earth in 6 days, and I took dust in the 7th.
So there's a point right there on the first page.
The Quran says, I created the heaven and earth. Since 6 days, it didn't make me tired of it.
Yeah, there's no mention of it.
There's a big, good correction there.
Yeah, this is what we're saying. Go read through everything. And again, you can also appreciate the beauty of all these books. If you read the Sermon on the Mount in the Bible, it's a very, very beautiful passage. Okay? If you read some of these teachings in all these books, there's a lot of beauty in there. But it's saying, take them head to head. Nothing is going to compare to the Quran. But if you have doubt, you have to try it. Okay? Your heart has to be satisfied. Let's take this point a step further. Same surah, open up to ayah 260. $260. Page 30?
38.
What page?
30.
Page 30. Okay. You want to read?
Yeah, just sort of ayah 30.
Ayah 260.
260. Okay, when Abraham said...
Okay, so this is a conversation that Ibrahim alayhi salam is having with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salam is one of the most super Muslims in the whole Quran. Okay? There is almost no one who is spoken of with such respect and esteem as Ibrahim alayhi salam. We all know this, but I'm making this point because look at what Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go for it.
Okay. And when Abraham said, "My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead," he said, "Do you not believe me then?" "Yes," said Abraham, "but just to put my heart at rest." So God said, "Take 4 birds and train them to come back to you, and place them on separate hilltops. Call them back, and they will come flying to you. Know that God is all-powerful and wise."
Okay, okay. Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Can you show me how you give life to the dead?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Don't you believe?" He says, "Yeah." What is going on? He understands it intellectually. We all understand Allah can give life to the dead. But he needs satisfaction of the heart. And this is Ibrahim alayhi salam who's saying this. His prescription was this thing with the birds. Take these birds, mash them up, and put all 4 pieces, then they're going to come back in full form. Our prescription is this. If you have doubt, if you don't have satisfaction of the heart, go through this process.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
This verse, it looks to me like this has been mistranslated.
Okay, explain.
Allah
Which one? This one or 260?
No, the one, the 260. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Abraham to capture 4 birds and smash them, kill them, and then grab a chunk of each, put them on a stone, and then call the bird.
Yeah, and then they all will come
this
back.
is
It doesn't come across that way. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, in terms of the common commentary, he takes all the birds, mashes them up, and then they will come back in full.
Because the issue is bringing the dead to life.
Absolutely. No, this is a very important point. And again, who are we speaking about? We're speaking about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay. So for us, it is perfectly natural, perfectly expected that we might have doubt. Okay. And if we have doubt, this ayah is the prescription. This is what you need to go through. If you don't go through this, the doubt is going to stay. And it's going to make all the future actions that you do shaky.
So life is about falling and getting up again. And falling
Sure.
Yeah. You have to correct yourself.
Sure. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, there is a footnote that talks about it. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the point in terms of the detail, secondary, the key issue here is Ibrahim alayhi salam he needs satisfaction of the heart. That I can say that I believe this and this and this, but if I don't have satisfaction of the heart, I need that. Yes?
What was that Musa alayhi salam also said, show me?
So Musa alayhi salam, this is interesting. Musa alayhi salam says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can I look at you? Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, you won't be able to handle it, but look at this mountain, and then this is where he goes. Oh, does he say that? Oh, maybe.
I don't know about
So, I mean, the language here is tatma'in al-qulub, right? So, tatma'in al-qalbi. So I have satisfaction of my heart. Yeah. It may be Musa alayhi salam saying.
Is it related to what you are telling it is something else?
Well, it would be a different event, but it's the same point. That these are prophets of Allah, peace be upon them. Okay? And they're also asking for satisfaction of the heart. Right? How many times in the Qur'an does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are not a madman, you are not a poet, you are coming with a very, very strong, very important, noble message. When do those ayahs seem to stop? After he goes on what just took place last night, the night journey. And then suddenly it seems that he doesn't put those ayahs anymore. Now he's seen reality. So again, the point being that it's perfectly understandable that a simple, regular person like me might have doubt, but this is the medication I have to take. So I'm saying don't look at this as a challenge to the whole world. I'm saying this is a prescription if you have doubt. Go through this process. But it says, bring a surah like it and bring witnesses other than Allah. Why can't you have Allah as a witness? So you say, here, I brought a surah like this, A, B, C, this is a book that responds to the challenge of the Quran, the doubt in the Quran.
There's a point that, you know, do these simple things and do prayers and control yourself, taqwa, and control your angers and your other urges and the little urges of the bodies and this and that. And so the Allah is at hand, you could get there.
Okay.
It's not an impossible journey or an impossible thing, but we have to sacrifice a lot of these things and live a common good life.
Okay, so where do all the religions agree? They agree in being giving to other people. Okay, but we're saying that's just the base level, right? If you want to get closer to Allah, there's a whole much more deeper, substantial process to go through. And we are going so far as to say that the other religions might not take you there. They will guide you to be an upright person, no doubt. They do have beauty in these religions, as you can see with your own eyes. And here, what is it saying?
But people have to do the common little things, eating courtesy and the little things that they're very common.
Okay.
They're very right at hand, and they have to correct these things, the attitude, like you were started with the attitude. And these things have to be addressed because people...
That's exactly what we're addressing. And we're also giving it a step-by-step order. Okay. So the ayah says, bring witnesses other than Allah. Why can't I make Allah a witness? Why can't I say, as Allah is my witness, I fulfill this command?
You would lie.
Yeah, how would I know, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Okay? But why would I have to bring witnesses? Here I say I have brought a surah or I brought a book that is just like the Quran. Why do I have to have witnesses also? These are other people who will stand up with me and say, yeah, this has been accomplished. In kuntum sadiqeen, if you are truthful. If your real issue is doubt, then this is what you need to go through. If your real issue is doubt in the book, this is the prescription you need to go through. Now, I've had students who, when I tell them, okay, they tell me I have doubt, about the Qur'an, how do I know this is the truth? And I tell them, okay, well, here's what you need to do. Then they start going, yeah, I don't know if I really should. Then your issue is not doubt, your issue is something else. If you want to resolve your doubt, this is what you need to go through.
But people who are really good, nice people, when they read it, it just clarifies to them, this makes a lot of sense. But people who are hard-hearted, no matter what you tell them, they're just not going to bring themselves.
Sure, yeah, that's what we saw in the previous groups that people have talked about versus the conference.
I remember one time in this fair, Merton came across Imam.
Are you going to say nice things or mean things about Muslims? Right.
But this is about nice about Imam Raza.
Okay, keep on.
He saw some plot of Imam Raza in the fair. And he asked him, what is this thing? And they translated, and he was holding it to his eyes, and he was crying.
Okay, very nice, Marcel.
And so people who understand things, it's not for everybody, because people have not even got up from the lower level.
Okay. That part we'll talk about in a moment.
Okay.
Okay, now what is it saying? You've gone through this process. Okay. One of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to keep reading and reading and reading, and you're going to decide, all right, I've compared everything head to head, nothing compares to the Qur'an. I'm satisfied in my heart. Okay. Or, it's too much material for me, I give up. I've tried and I give up. So what does it say? Repeat for us again, ayah 24.
If you cannot do this, and you never will, then beware of the fire prepared for the disbelievers whose fuel is men and stones.
Okay. So it's saying, if you can't do it, and you're not going to be able to do it, but you have to try. Okay? Then what is it saying? Then have taqwa. Ittaqunnar. Shield yourself from the fire. Okay? Which is prepared for the kafirs. Okay? What did we say kafir was? Someone who feels compelled to turn to Allah and they suppress it, they reject it. Okay? What are the stones? It said whose fuel is men and stones. What are the stones here?
Hearts.
Sorry?
Their hearts.
Very nice. So one understanding is that the stones are the hardened hearts. What else might the stones be? At the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the idols. In our contemporary time, we might be speaking of the hardened hearts. Okay? If your heart, just like you mentioned, the hardened heart, if your heart is hardened, then all this stuff is not going to help you. So part of the goal is to keep a soft heart. So what is it saying? If you have doubt, go through this process. You need to reach that point of satisfaction of the heart. And once you've either given up or you've tried and you're satisfied, now work to develop taqwa. Now, if all of this makes sense so far. The first command, turn to Allah. The second command, turn away from everything else. Okay? This is sort of a conditional command. This is not really the third command. If you have doubt, then go through this process. This makes sense. But if I ask you, what would be the third command, without looking in the book, what would you guess would be the third command? Because it makes sense that Allah says, turn to Him, surrender to Him, don't make any rivals to Him. What would be the next thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would tell us to do?
Come to Him.
So maybe come to Him, maybe pray, maybe have sabr, maybe persevere, maybe fast, maybe do charity. Look at what is the third command. Ayah 25. Okay. Ayah 25, go for it, Brother Connors.
Prophet, give those who believe and do good the news that they will have gardens graced with flowing streams. Whenever they are given sustenance from the fruits of these gardens, they will say, we have been given this before, because they were provided with something like it. They will have pure spouses, and there they will stay.
Okay, very good. Now, in parentheses, it says prophet. Okay? And part of the reason is because the command is singular. Each and every one of us do this. Okay? So this translator is interpreting that as only for the prophet, right? Whereas the first command, Ya ayyuhan nasu u'budu rabbakum, is for everyone. But here, the common reading is that this is an individual. This is grammatically singular. Okay? So he says those are for the prophet, but here, the common reading is that this is the command for everyone. So give good news to those who believe and do right. We'll talk about this more in detail after the break for Salah. But, yes?
You said the first command, turn to Him. What is the second command?
Do not make a rival to Him. Do not knowingly make a rival to Him. So at the beginning of Ayah 21 is the first command. End of Ayah 22 is the second. So the first command is Ya ayyuhan nasu u'budu rabbakum, be the abd of your Rabb. At the beginning of Ayah 21. At the end of Ayah 22 is don't knowingly make rivals to Him. Third command. Think about this. What is it saying? The third most important thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, give each other good news.
Oh, give each other good news.
Yeah.
So we can tell everyone that you can go to Jannah. We can't.
Well, we can tell everyone you can go to Jannah. We can say that much, yeah. But who are we speaking to here so far? Those who believe and do right. What are we saying? This is something as simple as Jazakumullah. Jazakallah.
Okay.
Jazakallah. May Allah reward you.
Okay. And The fruits. The Jannah can be here too. Like if you
Yeah, that part we'll talk about in just a second. Yeah. But the first part just being the command itself.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Yeah.
So the first two commands are to Allah, our relationship with Allah. Third command is our relationship with each other. Think of how serious this is. I mean, we've heard 100,000 khutbahs talking about unity. Unity, unity, we need unity, so forth and that, so forth and so on. Okay. Third command of the Qur'an is saying, give each other good news.
Yeah.
They will have gardens beneath which rivers flow. Okay. We'll speak more about this ayah in detail in just a few moments, but I'm thinking this is a good place to stop for Asr. And we will do Iqama for Asr, let's do somewhere, probably around 7:10. So anyone who needs to do wudu, once again, the women's room is down this first hallway, the men's room is down the next hallway, inshallah. So we will do Iqama.